Hey, it's me, MLB. Here is Pool Chapter 67, and this one is titled Patrol Day Part 1. You went home on a high that night and decided to check in with Granny to see how she was doing. "Hi, Grams," you greeted her brightly when she answered her phone. "My beautiful Yin," she said lovingly into the receiver. "How is work treating you, sweetheart?" "Work is fantastic, Gran," you replied in a really happy tone. "Oh, I'm so happy for you," she warbled. "Whatever happened with your boss? Did you tell that man to sit down?" You hummed with a little chuckle. "We're, actually dating now," you replied, still chuckling. "But let me explain." "I am all ears, honey," she replied, curious to hear what you had to say. "He acts really hot and cold, but he opened his heart to me just recently and told me about his past. He lost someone very close to him, and it scarred him, which is understandable, as he was there when it happened." Grams hummed, still not quite convinced, but you were on a high. "I know what I said before," you continued, "but after the chat, he's been a lot better." "Don't settle for less," Grams warned. "I don't want you to get hurt, sweetheart." "I know, Grams, I know, but I promise you he's changed a lot." "Well, if you're happy, I'm happy," she said, still not quite convinced. "I would like to meet him sometime," she added. "Oh yes, of course. We're just keeping our relationship quiet at the moment, just until the 3-month mark, and if everything is going well, then we'll make it public knowledge," you said with a smile. Grams hummed again, not liking that things were being kept a secret. "I'll speak with him," you said to her, still very much loved up. "Okay, sweetheart. Well, give me a call when you've decided on a date and then let me know. Any day and any time suits me. I'm retired after all. I have nothing to do and all day to do it in," she said. You chuckled. "Will do, Grams. How's your day been?" You two chatted a little more. Then once the conversation ended naturally, you said your goodbyes and hung up. You sat back and smiled happily up at the ceiling, relieved that your life had finally settled down. You had a good job, you had a boyfriend who you felt loved by, and the kids in the class respected you. Everything was wonderful. As you sat there in Happy Land, your phone dinged. It was Aizawa. "I would like to make our dating known publicly," he sent. Your heart jumped and you quickly replied to his message. "I'm happy for it to be public as long as you're comfortable with it," you replied. "Very much so," he sent. "I see this being a very long-term relationship." You squealed and clutched the phone to your chest, then pulled it back to reply. "Same," you said, with a heart on the end. He replied with the same heart, and you fell sideways onto the lounge with a big grin. "When would you like to announce it?" You then tapped out. "At the end of this week," he replied, "after the patrol week is finished." "Oh, that's this week." You suddenly remembered that he had spoken about that before the festival. "Okay, sounds good," you sent with a smiley face. On Monday, Aizawa clued the class into what would be happening that week. The patrols were due to start that Monday afternoon, and the morning was spent debriefing them on what their jobs would be during patrol, which groups they would be in, and the things they could and couldn't do if they ran into a villain, thief, person of misconduct, etc. "I will now assign the students to each teacher," Aizawa announced, turning to the board. "In Miss Lin's group will be Bakugo Katsuki, Shoji Mezo, Koda Koji, Yaoyorozu Momo, and Jiro Kyoka." Yaoyorozu's face lit up like a Christmas tree full of lights when she saw that she had been assigned to your team. She was stoked that she had been chosen to be with you, and was determined that she was going to do her best to make the day go well. "On my patrol team will be Midoriya Izuku, Uraraka Ochako, Mineta Minoru, Hagakure Toru, and Ojiro Mashirao," Aizawa announced, continuing on and grouping the rest of the students into the other teachers' teams as well. After getting everyone together, he then announced that patrols would begin soon and the students were to go and get changed into their hero outfits. Excitedly, they all left the classroom, and Aizawa called you over to his desk so he could point out the patrol routes. "This is your section here." He pointed to the map and outlined the area. "And mine is here." He pointed to the next street over. "There are 4 connecting alleyways on this road that runs straight through to my main road. Memorize them. Should anything happen, then come straight." You placed your hand on his arm. "Please don't worry. I don't think anyone will be out to cause trouble. It's a Monday. Can never be too careful, he replied sternly. You conceded with a smile of adoration. Okay, I'll commit it to memory, you promised, patting his arm gently before pulling a hand away. Hatsume allowed me to use her costume again, so I'll go and pick it up from downstairs, then I'll be back. Aizawa nodded and watched you go, a knot forming in his stomach as his past started to come back to haunt him. In his mind he could hear Oboro's happy voice excitedly talking about what they were going to do that day that the villain had killed him. He could hear the chatter from the streets that day as they had started out their patrol. He balled his fist on the desk and hung his head, squeezing his eyes closed and trying to drown out the cry from Hazashi. No, wait, that was his voice that he could hear ringing in his memories. He straightened and threw his arm out to the side, slamming his fist sideways into the chalkboard. It's not going to happen. Nothing bad's going to happen. Don't do this to yourself. Moments later, everyone was ready to go. The teachers were jovial, the students were pumped, and Aizawa was on high alert and very unusually quiet as he led his group out of the gates and down the street. You and your small group followed after him, and you could tell he was very on edge about something. But it was such a lovely day out, and the people that you had already come across were smiling and gushing at the new lot of hero students that were out in public. I don't know why Aizawa is so uptight about the patrol. It's almost as if he knows something's going to happen, you thought. Oh, is this a bit of foreboding? Stay tuned for the next chapter, chapter 68, coming tomorrow.